If you're starting out in the hobby and you're wondering what tools to get, among all the options out there, this might be the video for you. But also if you're someone who's already in the hobby and is looking for an upgrade, keep watching, we'll also tackle that. I will be alternating between each of the individual tools I currently have in my work table and let you know which I classify is a tool that you should get as a beginner to fully immerse yourself in the miniature painting and scale modeling hobby, and which one you should probably save for later when you feel you're a bit more serious. Hopefully this video will help you decide what to get, whether you're a starting miniature painter or someone who's been in the hobby for quite some time and is looking to get a little bit of an upgrade. I have my list, so let's begin. Synthetic brushes, definitely a need to have when you're starting. Because they're very cheap, you can make a lot of mistakes with them without costing you a lot of resources. On the other hand, natural or sable-haired Kolinsky brushes are something you want to save on the later stages. Yes, they're high quality, yes, they maintain their tip, and yes, they may help you make a better paint job, but maintaining them adds an additional skill or additional activity of conditioning them, cleaning them up, which may distract you from the main activity of the hobby. So remember, we're trying to get you the tools that will make you experience the most of the hobby without distracting you and at the same time without asking too much of your resources. Acrylic water-based paints, of course, you can't paint without them, but don't be distracted by the other more advanced and more expensive paints like inks, maybe other experimental paints like contrast or more expensive brands. Those things you can set aside for later if you feel like you want to experiment more. But definitely at the bare minimum, you just need a good set of acrylic miniature paints. You can even get cheaper ones instead of the more expensive mainstream lines. Cutter, definitely a need to have. You mainly need one so that you can clean up the parts of the miniature, which is an important aspect in the hobby. Oh my god, whoa, shucks, dude. Cleaning up a miniature is part of the hobby, so you definitely need that tool to experience that. Tweezers. Tweezers are something that may be cheap, but is not always used by most hobbyists. They're more commonly used with scale modelers where the kids have small items, but if you're a wargamer or starting out into miniature painting, it's not always something you need to have to get started. Nail files, sanding paper, and sanding sticks or something similar. It falls under the line of a cutter. Yes, it is a nice to have. Yes, it is also part of the hobby experience, so definitely get that if you're starting out in the hobby. Additives, you may encounter this in your hobby store or in some tutorials such as paint thinners, flow improvers. Those things can wait when you want to try some more advanced techniques. For now, just stick to your regular water-based paints. Clippers. Now there are two types of clippers. There are your hobby clippers and there are your regular tiny clippers. For the longest time, I've used regular tiny clippers because they've been cheap and they do have that flat edge. So I do and am able to work on miniature scale kits with non-hobby rated clippers, which are definitely cheaper. Should you move on to hobby clippers, you will have an easier time going through and cutting lots of different types of parts from sprues. So I would consider that an upgrade because you still can experience the most of the hobby with just regular small clippers. A wet palette. Yeah, they can be expensive, but they can also be DIY, which is why I think you should also consider it in your beginner set of tools. You can easily make one with a sponge, water, old food container, and some baking paper, non-wax. The reason why you want this, it may seem like an advanced tool, but it is a staple in most hobby tables, and to experience that now means to experience what the rest of your life with should you embrace the hobby moving forward, which you should. Tamiya liquid cement or plastic cement. This is a type of glue that a lot of us miniature painters use, but it's not necessarily a tool you should use as a beginner, because this type of glue is very, very high quality and effective, but it melts your plastic bits together. If you're new to kit building or building plastic kits, you might want to stick to Mighty Bond, because Mighty Bond is strong, or CYA glue is strong, or Super Glue, rather. Mighty Bond is the brand here in the Philippines. Super Glue is a more beginner-friendly tool that will still help you experience most of the hobby, because you can reverse the bond by freezing it. And when you freeze it or put the bottle in the freezer, you can shatter the actual glue and do it again. If you use liquid cement, it's almost irreversible. Hobby mat, definitely. Any type of material that you can lay down on your workspace, like scrap wood, maybe some spare glass, or a hobby mat, is definitely something you should get if you are planning to try out this hobby, because on the get-go, it will be messy. You'll end up losing a lot more if you don't get it. Gloves. Now you'll see a lot of hobbyists use gloves, especially if they use an airbrush. Gloves protect the skin, but since you are starting out and are using water-based acrylics, it's not a need to have from the get-go. Should you further prolong yourself to paint on your skin, maybe then you should get gloves. This is future me interrupting the video, just reminding you to give this video a like, because I'm still a budding YouTuber and analytics and algorithms will just help me grow better by just clicking that like button. It's just like one tap, one click. It really helps a lot. Thank you so much. Back to the video. Cheap basing material. Basing is part of the hobby. No matter where you go, most people will do it. Try some. And when I say cheap, I'm saying dirt cheap. Like literally, you can get some dirt, bake it so it's clean, and that's it. Put that on your miniature glue. Not lying, there are a lot of tutorials that use dirt as basing. Microsol and microset. So these are what we call decals, or actually I don't know what you call them, but it's a brand and it's basically what people use to apply decals. I did use this when I was starting out, but you don't have to use it because decals is not entirely a big portion of the miniature and scale hobby. It's a step, but it's sometimes seen as an optional step. So if you're starting out and you have some decals in your kit, you could actually use water to apply decals or skip that step when you decide to invest further. Even though if these two brands or these two bottles that will help you apply decals are fairly cheap, it's not something you need to get right now when you're starting to get into the hobby. Varnishes. Yeah, definitely something to get when you are starting in the hobby. While you may not stay in the hobby long and you're just trying it out, you may want to protect the work that you've done at least for the first few months of trying it out, and that's what exactly a varnish does. A pin vise. Now pin vises can be expensive, and some arguments might say this is a tool you might want to save for when you want to invest. But I say if you're starting out in the hobby, get a pin vise, because to experience the most of the hobby as a beginner will help you decide better and faster if it's for you. And getting a pin vise will basically help you drill barrels on guns and make your models look prettier with less effort. And the more that you see what you can do on an earlier stage, the more you can see if this hobby is for you or for not. For you or for not. For you or not. Jeweler's glasses. So a lot of hobbyists use this because over time, their eyes get strained from staring at these small details. But that's the thing, it's an over time thing. If you are just trying it out, maybe save this purchase for when you think you'll be doing this for a long period of time. And that has been the long list. And also lights, I forgot to add that, but if you're investing into your eyesight, wait, hold on. There, the music's off, but better. If you're investing in your eyesight, might as well get good lights, good white lights that will help you illuminate your miniature on both sides. I have two lamps on my left and right side. This could be a comfortable vlogging format actually. I can easily talk to you guys and demonstrate at the same time. Now, a little bonus, hobby books that will serve as inspiration is also a nice tool to have when you're further investing in yourself in the hobby, to always learn about new tips and tricks and how to become better. And an airbrush is something I don't have, but I imagine I will purchase 5-10 years down the line. Actually, I don't imagine purchasing one soon. It's definitely another new skill I have to learn. But because of the fact it's another new skill to learn, I believe it's something that you should save on at the later stages, especially if you find yourself painting lots of miniatures and you want to learn a new skill into painting. That's something you may want to reserve for when you want to invest further. I hope for you guys who are starting into the hobby, this video has helped you consider how to spend your hobby dollars. And for those people who already have been hobbying for a while, maybe you got to rethink your list of tools, and instead of buying some plastic, you may want to buy more tools to help you become a better miniature painter. This has been Louis of Louis Loves Minis. I hope you love this new layout, and I am reminding you once again to hobby every day to keep the screws away.